The 20th Ennis Book Club Festival is kicking off on Friday the 6th of March, running through Sunday across venues in the town and county. The festival brings a lively programme of events for readers of all ages, including talks, workshops and chances to meet your favourite authors. Indeed, we've spoken with the artistic director Martina Jurak and some of the other writers who'll be taking part. On the opening day at the Templegate Hotel, Love and Change spotlights new LGBTQ plus writing with authors Nicola Dinan, Michelle Howarth and Naoise Dolan in conversation with Jackie Lynam, celebrating fresh voices and the power of representation. And I'm very pleased to be joined by Chloe and Nicola this morning. A very good morning to both of you. Thanks for being with us on Morning Focus.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no bother at all. Delighted to have the two of you on. Talk to us a little bit, Nicola, about featuring as part of the festival. I mentioned Martina Jurak was in quite recently on the show, and it is a big book club festival, but this is a particularly special edition of it, being the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly special. I think I live in London, and so I'm always kind of astonished when I find out that people from other countries are reading my book or interested in my work. And so any opportunity to sort of travel and see my book in different places is always a bit mind-blowing. And this especially, since it's the 20th anniversary, it feels very special.
For yourself, Chloe, I don't know, have you had occasion to be at the festival before, or will this be your maiden visit too?
This will be my maiden visit. My maiden visit in Clare even, which is mad, because I'm only from Cork. I'm not from particularly far away. But yeah, like Nicola was saying, to be there for the 20th anniversary, it's just so special to get to take part. Like, I know it's such a popular festival and means so much to people. So yeah, delighted to be heading over.
You're going to be talking as part of, as I say, the spotlight on new LGBTQ plus writing and talking about your respective works. Nicola, talk to us a little bit about Disappoint Me, which examines intimacy, expectation and modern relationships. I'm just wondering what kind of conversations you were hoping to open up, if at all, through your novel.
Yeah, so my novel Disappoint Me follows a trans woman called Max, and she falls down the stairs at a New Year's Eve party, wakes up in hospital, and her first thought is, oh God, I need to find a boyfriend. And so she embarks on this sort of quest to enter what is, in her mind, a quote unquote sort of very normal heterosexual relationship, and obviously trouble ensues. And I think, I love writing about trans characters because I like the way that queer novels maybe straddle this place between specificity and universality. We're often talking about quite unique experiences and quite unique places, but are trying to speak to sort of maybe larger struggles that people who maybe aren't LGBT, for example, also feel. And I think with Disappoint Me, you maybe confront those feelings of being in your 30s and of being left behind and of not quite knowing what path you'd like your life to take.
Yeah, and Chloe, heap earth upon it. It looks into themes of identity, belonging and life on the periphery. Talk to us a little bit about the genesis of this story, how you came up with it.
Yeah, I wanted to look at a time and place in Ireland where queerness would have been expelled from society, maybe more than we're used to seeing. So it's set in 1965 in rural Kerry, and it's a family drama. It deals a lot with grief, and one of the siblings in the family is coming to realise that she is a lesbian. However, she has never seen any lesbian representation given, the time and place where she's living. And so, it's an incredibly confusing experience for her. And it kind of looks at sexuality as more of an instinctual and a primal thing. And hopefully takes away some of the societal pressures that a queer person might feel. She gets to experience it all in sort of a new way.
I just wonder, Nicola, about, you Disappoint Me, and your work is described as nuanced and tender, and how important the element of subtlety is when writing about identity and community. I don't know, is that something you're always conscious of, not trying to be too obvious?
Yeah, I don't know really. I mean, I'm always flattered to be told my work is nuanced and tender, but I also think, uh, you know, when people ask me about representation in my work, my thought process when I'm writing trans characters, or writing any character, who's maybe LGBT or from a racial minority, I almost find I'm not thinking about it too much when I'm writing it because it just sort of represents the world that I know. And I think the nuance maybe comes from trying to represent reality how I see it. You know, life is complicated. And so I find that that works itself into the writing. And, that's why I like being on panels like this with, Chloe and Nisha, where you have people from these communities portraying characters maybe with similar identities to them or adjacent identities. And you often get, as a result of that, quite nuanced portrayals of those characters just quite naturally. And I don't know how Chloe feels, but I don't find that it's something I have to strive to because I'm just sort of writing it how I see it.
Yeah, I wonder, Chloe, like Nicola says there, do you enjoy being part of panels of this type or just panels at book festivals in general rather than straight one-on-one interviews?
I think I love being part of panels actually. It's nice to get other people's perspective on, if you're talking about a similar theme, for example. I think when you do one-on-one interviews, I sometimes end up, saying the same answers. And so it's nice when you have other people there, they're jumping in and they're making you think a bit more. And I just think it allows for more thought on my behalf. And it's just lovely to get to meet other authors who are writing about similar things as well, and hear how they do it and what their experiences as well.
This particular panel, Nicola, of course, called Love and Change. I wonder what that title means to you in the context of your work and whether you feel there's a growing appetite among readers for stories that expand perspectives and challenge the traditional narratives that have been out there.
Yeah, so I think, when it comes to Love and Change in my own work, I think I think it's funny because I've often have my novels, both Bellies and Disappoint Me, be described as love stories. But I think Bellies is very much a breakup novel. And I think Disappoint Me is quite sober when it comes to love. I think it's in the title, isn't it? Disappoint Me. And I think maybe people are hungry for novels which challenge or expand ideas of what love is. I think particularly growing up, we're fed a very singular narrative of what love represents, maybe not looking towards things like our family relationships or our relationships to our friends as being maybe the enduring love stories of our lives. And I think that's maybe what I'm sensing people are hungry for, at least when it comes to my own novels. I think change is maybe it is slightly different when it comes to my novels. You have huge changes. In Bellies, a character transitions throughout the novel, and in Disappoint Me, we're really assessing to what extent can we entrust someone has changed. And I think that's sort of a prevalent conversation in public discourse anyway. To what extent have people repented for horrible actions that they've maybe done in the past or things that they've said previously? What does atonement look like? And so I think people are hungry for anything that feels relevant to life at the moment. And I think expanding notions of love and change feels at the forefront of so many public conversations.
Yeah, Chloe, both yourself and Nicola have spoken very positively about featuring on panels at festivals like this, but the audience element and the potential to interact with the audience, Q&A, or get their perspectives on how much they've enjoyed your work, or maybe what they've thought of your work, and maybe a different element of it. I just wonder, whether you enjoy that because writing is a very solitary process.
Oh my God. Yeah, definitely. I think that for me, the audience interaction is one of my favorite parts, especially as often what I write about is a rural queer experience. I get to meet people who say, that's my story. You've written something that's very close to my life. And it's not something I particularly think about when I'm doing the writing because, like you say, it is quite solitary. You never think like how people are going to react to it. So it's always so lovely to meet other people who are, queer in rural spaces, and when they say that they related to something that you wrote, it's just so special. And I think it does gives you a bit of a bigger picture. It's nice to just get away from the laptop and actually speak to people face to face now.
that there's a larger world out there rather than just you and your laptop. Yeah, well, look, I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic occasion at the Templegate Hotel, the opening day of the 20th Ennis Book Club Festival, Friday week the 6th of March. Love and Change is the panel, and two of the writers will feature, Chloe Michelle Howarth and Nicola Dinan. Ladies, thank you very much to both of you. Really appreciate you joining me on the show this morning, and really hope you enjoy the festival and your time there. Thanks.
Thank you
very much.